Hi guys, welcome to the month of April 2023. We have another jam-packed astrology month. This one is another one that is probably going to be honestly like kind of explosive. There is some sort of like brewing tension, maybe some like angst coming through this cycle, also some major revelations, some major turning points. This is another cycle of some pretty extreme rebirth, endings and beginnings. We have a very rare double new moon in Aries that is happening this cycle, you guys. After having the new moon in Aries, which is the official like astrological new year, the beginning of any like astrological year starts with a new moon in Aries. This is the very fresh rebirth, new spark of life energy, happened back to back in the month of March with our equinox. As a result of the new moon in Aries having happened at 0 degrees of the sign of Aries, we have a second new moon in Aries going on this cycle, you guys. This is a rare occurrence. It only happens every 2 to 3 years when we have two new moons occurring in the same sign. So this is some pretty big business. And again, rebirth, fresh starts, new beginnings, amplified in a pretty big way. We have a Jupiter-Sun conjunction in the sign of Aries going on this month as well. Lots of strong Chiron energy. We start this month of April in strong Chiron energy with the Sun building into conjunction with Chiron. We end this month of April in some very strong Chiron energy with Mars forming a square to Chiron. The hero's journey being activated, victim to victor. Where is our vulnerability actually our strength? There is a lot this cycle that is going to have to do with us overcoming some things that have been lingering from the past wounds, past traumas. We're in some karmic reckoning energy this cycle as well. Karmic release, the chickens coming home to roost, facing the consequences of some past action, nostalgia, maybe perhaps some regrets, woulda, shoulda, couldas coming up that might be hitting us more like seriously on an emotional level throughout the course of this cycle as well. Saturn in the south node, an exact trine in water signs for basically the entirety of the month of April. And I also see, you guys, that there may be just some feelings of threatened security coming through in one way or another. This may primarily have to do with like financial and material based security. I do see perhaps some indications that we may be heading towards some like financial or economic or value-based constriction that might be coming up over this next couple of weeks as well. So there is a lot happening throughout the course of the cycle. Like I said, we are probably going to be experiencing some very high highs, some very low lows. But generally, this month is really sort of calling us to give it all we've got and stand in our power and fight back, fighting for freedom, fighting for truth, fighting for what's right. These are themes that are likely to be coming through as well. And that being said, let's really get into this breakdown of the month of April. We are going to be looking at the energy on a week-by-week basis. I'm kind of going to go through each week of April and tell you guys the major activations that are happening each week and sort of the overall themes that we might be able to expect or that could just be coming through vibrationally, energetically as we're going through that week. When we get to the end, we will sort of tie it all together and go back through some of the general themes that might be coming through in this month of April. But again, this is a rare time. We also have, we're heading to the time of year, this is eclipse season, okay? We are in this faded dust and energy as well. Divine timing, divine alignment, Uranus very much at play. We've also got Mercury going retrograde this month in a conjunction to Uranus. So some very bizarre, weird, shocking information in the sign of Taurus. Shocks and surprises, financial, transaction, partnership-based, along these lines, and major, again, you guys, Pluto at 0 degrees of the sign of Aquarius, major transformations, major transitions going on. So let's get into this first week of April then. We're looking at April 1st through April 7th. Now, I said this whole month of April is really very much colored by this Chiron energy, which is likely to make it kind of maybe like a bit of a raw experience throughout the course of this next 30 days. We may really be sort of coming face to face with some old wounds that have not healed yet. It's interesting how this is playing out too, because, you know, we've got Chiron and we've got the sun coming in this conjunction in the sign of Aries, right? We're in this Aries cycle, and we're also headed for this double Aries cycle, this double Aries new moon, but we've got Mars in the sign of Cancer. Mars is ruling Aries, and Mars will be at the end of this month forming this square to Chiron in his sign of Aries. So there's this Mars Chiron, be it through Chiron's placement in the sign of Aries right now, and also Mars coming into the square with Chiron later this month, ruling the position of Chiron. The Chiron energy that we are experiencing throughout the course of this month is in alignment with this Mars flavor. Now, in the mythology, Mars and Chiron, like, they got on well. Chiron was the teacher of all the great heroes. So this is not, you know, necessarily like negative interaction in terms of like planetary interaction for Mars, although it is likely to sort of really be activating this hero's journey energy, really calling us to find our strength and to find our courage and to find our ability to persevere and to pull ourselves out of any victim state that we may be experiencing. There is definitely, I feel like, a vibe coming through of like threats to personal security on one level or another that may kind of be playing out throughout the course of this month. Again, I do kind of think this may be coming through more on like a financial or material based level in many cases, but just, you know, needing to overcome, needing to conquer, needing to ascend, needing to rise out of, needing to transmute, and needing to sort of step into the role of the spiritual warrior. This is the best way for us to maneuver the challenges that we may be up against as a result of this Chiron-Mars blend energy that we have going on all month long. And, you know, bringing it back to the first week of April, which is what we're talking about now, I'm referencing that because we have the sun coming into a conjunction, building into a conjunction with Chiron all week. Chiron is the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype. Chiron rules the hero's journey. It's where we initially experience some type of wounding or some type of trauma, but, you know, through the consequences of what that painful experience puts us through or does for us, eventually, you know, we learn about it. We learn the root of it. We learn how to heal from it. We learn how to, you know, alchemize and transmute and transcend out of it into the state of greater self-mastery, where we are thereby released from that experience and no longer forced to suffer the cyclical patterns associated with a trauma response that is unhealed and unresolved that we're holding within us. It's where we transcend our states of victimhood through a process of healing, purification, regeneration, you know, transformation, and ultimately release and ascending into this higher version of ourself that can no longer be impacted by that same experience. And then through the wisdom that we've gained through going through that experience, we then sort of become like a guiding lay, a mentor, a guide for others who are also on the hero's journey, who are also on this journey to self-healing. That's what this is. It is how humanity overcomes the trauma complexes essentially of the past and the subconscious programming associated with that, thereby again being released to be able to become more conscious creators in alignment and in conjunction with God and universe, coming from this more consciously liberated, spiritually and consciously awake and like self-masterful position or just relationship to our own selves. So that is the ultimate outcome of the hero's journey, of the Chiron influence. But of course, it starts with this initial wounding. So whenever we're dealing with Chiron energy, this can always be kind of bringing up our past issues or putting us in situations where we are experiencing some type of wounding or trauma. But, you know, the Chiron point, the point in the sky where Chiron was originally discovered, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the value that we gain from going through this hero's journey, from healing these wounds, from overcoming, and from its, you know, breaking karmic cycles, breaking through patterns that have held us back perpetually, generationally, or long periods of time. This is like breaking generational curses. This is releasing ourselves from the bondage of karmic law of the past based on generational trauma and stuff like that. So it's very important. It's a very significant frequency, and the experiences that it produces, you know, creates, and then the cycles or the series of events that happen as a result of that are, you know, very much in alignment with humanity's collective, you know, first of all, you know, conscious evolution, but also our current transition into the age of Aquarius, which happens physically in the 3D world as a result of this collective spiritual and conscious awakening that comes through this collectivized hero's journey process. So, you know, this year, 2023, we know it's going to be a big one. We know that we're probably going to be going through a lot because we are in this transition of ages right now, and we are being called to break free from the past paradigm. And, you know, wherever we had been surrendering our power, this is a re-empowerment of the individual as well as a result of this process. So it's really no surprise that we've got a second Aries cycle going on this month, which is about the warrior, and then we've got Chiron in there as well, this spiritual warrior energy that is being activated and initiated. And again, you know, this first week of April, we have the sun building into the conjunction with Chiron all week, bringing up perhaps past unhealed issues. Okay, when we have Chiron operating, energy operating, this a lot of times is just a more raw energy. Like, we can just feel more vulnerable. We can feel a little bit overwhelmed. We can, you know, it can cause us to maybe like question ourselves a little bit, or just re-experience, or, you know, just be sort of like, with the sun there, it's sort of like our life force energy coming into alignment with perhaps these initial wounds. But we have to remember, they represent tremendous value, because without that difficulty that we have to struggle through, there is no ultimate soul growth. So the original triggers of things that are put in place to cause us to discover our truth and go through this process of spiritual and soul-based growth to eventually, you know, come to this place of self-mastery and find our purpose and activate our destiny in alignment with this self-actualization process. That's what this is doing for us. But it could just feel, you know, it may not be the most positive, upbeat, comfortable feeling energy that we have coming through this first week of April. We also have an exact Mars South Node trine that is happening the first week of April. This could be some definite like past issues or past conflicts or past wounds, like negative internalized experiences, emotional experiences happening in water signs from the past coming back up for the purpose of being released. Though, with Mars forming the trine to the South Node, this is an active release of emotional baggage associated. So while these wounds may be coming up, this is also providing us an opportunity to release, to purge, to remove, and to let go. And again, this is going to be playing out throughout this entire month of April. We also have the full moon in Libra that is going to be happening on the 6th, this first week of April. It's going to be in a conjunction to Chiron. It's also going to be in a conjunction to Jupiter, who the first week of April, moving into the second week of April, is at a very interesting degree in the sky, and the sign of Aries will be conjuncting the Eris point. This is the point in the sky where the planet Eris was originally discovered. It has a lot to do with discord and strife and conflict and you know, kind of chaos and stuff like that. And we'll be talking about this moving more into the second week of the month of April. But this full moon that we have going on this 6th and this first week is also going to feature a Mercury North Node conjunction. So while we may be in the midst of this Chiron energy, while we may be in the midst of experiencing or dealing with or going through a process of actually healing, purifying, purging, releasing, alchemizing some of these past pains or some of these past issues, there's also likely to be some very fated information or meetings or encounters or messaging or conversations that are going on, that are coming through, that could be really revealing something to us, opening our eyes to something, changing something, or, you know, giving us what we need to maybe heal, release, or move on from a situation. So that is interesting as well. Very raw week emotionally this first week of April. Like I said, past wounds, pains, traumas could be coming up. A need to heal the wounds of our heart could be like a very strong just theme that's sort of playing out in this energy, or that we are feeling sort of compelled and moved towards. Vital faded information, messages, news, interactions, conversations coming through. Mercury conjuncting the North Node for the full moon in Libra, which is also about communication. Truth worth fighting for, though. Freedom worth fighting for. Values worth fighting for. This Jupiter at the Aries point energy. You guys really should, if you don't follow my daily videos, you should do that, because we are going to have some very interesting energy to talk about going on a daily basis moving through this month of April, especially, you know, this first, actually, it's just a very interesting month. We've got a lot of rare stuff going on. These are going to be some very unique and rare moments in time that we're moving through and that are coming at us throughout the course of this month. But, you know, there could be definitely elevated levels of anger, sadness, pain, depression, feelings of nostalgia, time lost or time wasted could be a theme. Also, really sort of all month, we may sort of be starting to gain a more serious approach to how we're using our time and what we're doing with our energy. This trine going on between Mars, Saturn, and the South Node in these water signs could really be like bringing up some feelings of maybe like regret about what we haven't done, these like shoulda, woulda, coulda energy, or, you know, like I said, like time wasted, time not spent well, what is gone that can never come back. And, but most importantly, how we're going to change ourselves, what we're going to change about our behavior and action going forward, so that we don't have to experience these same things so that we don't have to perpetuate these same feelings. Also, this could represent like some difficult endings as well that we are sort of just having to deal with on some deeper emotional levels, knowing that we need to let go and move on from something that maybe we've been attached to or committed to for a very long period of time. Again, this is also like release from karmic cycles, karmic patterns, and I do think it has a lot to do with, again, like needing to take accountability for things from the past. There's a big major emphasis on the past coming up to be released. Again, endings and beginnings. This whole year of 2023, here we go again in the month of April. Could be a difficult week emotionally, but again, Mercury in the North Node, some type of faded revelations, information, and good news. We also have good news coming through, okay? That is because, you know, as we close out this first week, we then moved in, as we're moving into the second week, have the Sun coming into a conjunction with Jupiter. Remember, Chiron and Jupiter have been in a conjunction in Aries for a couple of weeks now, and this conjunction is separating and Jupiter has moved ahead. But since we had the Sun come to the conjunction with Chiron, the Sun is moving on. The second week is going to come into the conjunction with Jupiter. Sun in a conjunction to Jupiter, that's one of the best aspects that there is in all of astrology. Jupiter is the great benefic. Jupiter brings good fortune and luck and like positive occurrences, and it brings optimism and hope and faith and trust, and this should bring some truth to some situations as well. We should feel like we actually kind of like know what's going on, and just likely to get some good news or to, you know, experience some type of positive, ongoing positive happening over the course of this second week of the month of April. Now, I will say, you know, it's interesting because although we do have Jupiter and the Sun coming into conjunction, which I just got done saying is this good luck, you know, this good fortune, this positive ongoing energy, this is like good for, you know, positive expansion. Essentially, we're likely to be feeling like vitality is going to be strong. We're probably going to be feeling like really good and just have like a lot of like gusto and strength and courage and willpower and motivation and inspiration and stuff like that happening in the sign of Aries. It is happening sort of at like a kind of precarious degree, and I want to reference this because this Jupiter-Sun conjunction could honestly be a bit explosive, and it could get a bit out of hand or go a bit like over the top in terms of the expression of energy, and we may sort of want to just be aware of that and try to like, you know, keep ourselves grounded a little bit to some extent in this energy. It is happening, of course, in the sign of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is the sign of the warrior, okay? And it is about action, and it is about courage and strength and willpower and domination and motivation and like being the leader and being in charge. But the thing is, it's happening. Jupiter is at 21 degrees of Aries as we start this second week of April, and and the Sun-Jupiter conjunction is only going to be happening 1 degree off of the Eris point, which is located at 21 degrees of Aries, the point in the sky where Eris was discovered. I just talked about this a minute ago. And Eris rules, like I said, strife and discord and conflict, okay? Jupiter is expansion. The Eris point, the Sabian symbol of that degree, is a boxer entering the ring. The sun, of course, is this big fireball. It's a life force energy. This is a lot of fuel on the fire, okay? This is, I do think that there could be some very heated, like big time fights and conflicts that break out over this period of time. It is Jupiter, right? And it is the sun. So this is generally, traditionally, a very positive, beneficial, benefic aspect. So I do think that there are a lot of positive indications that are going to be coming from this. And again, like I said, I do think that we're generally going to be feeling like pretty good, pretty optimistic, pretty hopeful, pretty inspired, pretty motivated. But the thing is that fire might just be lit, like burning like a little too hot. And yeah, we could definitely see some outbreaks of just some big time fights, the masculine energy, right? Like unrestrained with the Jupiter influence and the fire from the sun. Breaking out specifically, fights breaking out specifically over truth, belief, and freedom. So acts of war, kind of likely. Acts of destruction, kind of likely. Mars right now is ruling the position, of course, of Jupiter and the sun. Mars in the sign of Cancer. This could be attacks on terms of the home or the family or the mother or like the feminine, like the womb type of stuff like that, or just on the people generally, the homeland, community. We could see, honestly, like some type of violent acts happening against like a community, or even, like I said, like war drum type stuff, or some type of destruction, or some type of storms even, with Mars in the sign of Cancer, like flooding type of stuff. I don't know. So I got to say that as well, just because of the position of Jupiter and the sun and the Eris point energy that we have going on. But also, you know, it's Jupiter and the sun, so it is likely to, you know, bring some very great fortune going on as well. So that will, or hopefully to some extent, maybe negate any type of like damage that does rise or accumulate as a result of any tempers flaring or people looking for a fight in this energy. Positive changes though, moving us ahead and moving on. That is the general vibe that we have going on the second week of the month of April. Now, moving into this third week of April, you guys, this week is freaking all over the place, okay? Crazy week. Don't expect anything to go according to plan. This is a week where we're having these very just like out of the ordinary, out of the blue, random, very rare, like once in a blue moon type of occurrences. There is a very strong karmic flavor to the energy coming through this week. I do think this is paying the piper energy as well. There could be some material or financial based restrictions going on. This is the week where we have our second double new moon in the sign of Aries happening at 30 degrees of Aries, sun and moon coming in alignment. We've got a solar eclipse going on the same day. We've got exact Saturn in the South Node trine all week long. We've got Mercury going retrograde in a conjunction to Uranus, and we've got Venus coming into a square with Saturn. So much happening. Venus comes into the square with Saturn the 14th and the 15th, while Saturn comes into an exact trine with the South Node. Saturn in the South Node, this is both karma, this is restriction, this is release, okay? Venus, this is money, this is assets, this is resources, this is partnerships, this is relationships coming into the square with Saturn. This is restriction, this is limitation, this is things being controlled, held back, repressed. We could definitely see, moving through this third week of the month of April, some type of financial restrictions or like things being held down, things being held back, some like maybe even like crashes or something like that in terms of like financial markets and stuff. Could definitely financial losses, like that type of energy is being indicated this week. Now we also have Mercury moving into the conjunction with Uranus all week. So and Mercury Uranus together, this is normally a very like quick passing transit. Like there normally will just be, you know, a couple of days, maybe tops like 4 or 5 days where we're dealing with this energy because Mercury moves so fast. There may be like a day or two on each side of the exact conjunction where, you know, Mercury is within orb where this is actually taking effect. But Mercury is slowing down to go retrograde this third week of the month of April and is doing so in a very close conjunction to Uranus. So Mercury and Uranus together in a conjunction in the sign of Taurus, this energy is, well, it is very much coloring this third week of the month of April, and it is going to be coloring our entire Mercury retrograde process. Mercury and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Mercury and Uranus together are always going to bring some type of unexpected, shocking, sudden awakening, like revelation, news, information, flashes of insight. In the sign of Taurus, this is going to have to do with finances, resources, partnerships, projects, material possessions, food, agriculture, supply chains, you know, all that type of stuff. This more like economy-based, money-based, work-based, partnership-based stuff. We're talking about balls crazy, off the wall, bizarre, weird, unexpected, sudden, shocking information, messages, communications along those themes. While we also have Venus in a square to Saturn, restriction, holding back, you know, Venus ruling the position of Mercury and Uranus coming into their conjunction, while we also have Saturn in the South Node trine. This is release from past financial systems that have not been working and are not in alignment with authentic value and authentic truth. If I were to put that together without knowing anything that's going on in the world, if I were just to like add these things together like a math equation, but in terms of manifestations of energetic activations, that's what it would equate to. That's what it would represent to me. So it'll be very interesting to see, you know, what plays out over this next couple of weeks, especially also with the Chiron influence so strong this month. Chiron also rules value, also rules worth. We've got Mars in the sign of Aquarius. This is personal security, okay? So I'm saying there could be some issues having to do like financial-based issues, economic-based issues, resource-based issues that have us feeling slightly like threatened in terms of our maybe security or financial security, personal well-being in one way or another. And there could just be some very crazy news or information associated with that is coming through specifically this third week of April. Now, who knows? You know, maybe not. Maybe it will go a different way. But that is just, you know, kind of what this is looking like and how perhaps it's playing out. Remember, we also have the North Node right now. This entire month, the entire month of April, the North Node is at 5 degrees of the sign of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is a widow at an open grave. Second new moon in Aries, this cycle, like death and rebirth, guys. Like, this is it. Like, things are ending, things are beginning. Like profound endings, divinely timed, like phenomenal rebirths coming through, but it's for the purpose of North Node in the sign of Taurus and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, realigning with authentic potential, value, and worth so that things can grow in a proper, organic direction moving forward. So we may have just a very crazy week going on, rare occurrences, crazy bizarre news this third week, this paying the piper energy, accounting for past grievances energy, needing to address take responsibility. That's another thing, like take responsibility for things from the past so that we can release ourselves and move on from like lingering situations that have been holding us back or are limiting our growth in one way or another. Difficult endings could be represented, material loss, like I said, financial restrictions, these crazy revelations though, news, information, sudden liberation as well, freeing the mind. Okay, and it's like, as soon as we have, on the 20th, we have this double new moon, like I said, that is the solar eclipse. On the 21st, Mercury stations retrograde. So it's like we go through, it's like all this stuff hits us this third week of April, but then Mercury immediately goes retrograde because we need to process. It's like, whoa, like whatever happened, like, okay, we need to backtrack, we need to process, we need to make sure that we heard and understood that correctly. Like we need to go back and, you know, double, triple check to make sure that we are understanding what was said, picking up what was putting down, because it's probably going to be just so, I mean, it could, you know, like this could be like mind-blowing stuff that we've got going on at this period of time. We are in some very epic times right now, you guys. I'm not just saying that because I'm like talking about astrology on the internet. I'm saying that because like we're in a shift of the ages and like we're getting down to it. Like this is the life-changing activations that make that transition happen. And it doesn't just happen in this day or in this month, of course, but you know, months like this and years like this are how shifts of the ages happen. So that's sort of what we're looking at. Ultimate rebirth, ultimate fresh start, and a need to process all that just happened. Just these whoa, like energy, rare moments, major transformations, mind-blowing energy. So that's what our third week of the month of April is looking like, you guys. Now let's move on and talk about the fourth week. This is another week closing out this month of April where things could feel a bit raw again. Like I said, you know, the first week, we're kind of going through it, okay? Moving into the second week, we may sort of be on this high with this Jupiter energy, feeling really good about stuff, having overcome something, feeling strong, feeling brave, having endurance, having, you know, motivation, wanting to assert ourselves, feeling sort of on top of our game. Moving into the third week, it's like everything just hit the fan and I don't even know what just happened. Moving into the fourth week, this is where we might begin to feel just a little bit maybe like insecure, and some of these like unresolved, unhealed wounds might be coming up, or we may actually just perceive ourselves in some way in this energy as being under some type of attack. This last week, you know, this entire month, but especially this last week, I feel like, you know, it's going to benefit us to do our best to kind of maintain a level of, as best we can, peace and forgiveness within us, okay? Enemies on the outside are a reflection of enemies on the inside. Mars in the sign of Cancer. This is the sign of the moon. This is our emotions. This is our internal environment. Emotional conflicts. The greater state of emotional conflict that we are in internally this fourth week of the month of April, the greater the external threat to our security, okay, is likely to appear and to seem. So the more we can, again, like practice active forgiveness and self-care, also put our energy into self-care, self-nurturing, self-love, and not fighting ourselves internally, not being in a state of internal conflict. That is definitely going to help to alleviate perhaps some of the external tensions that are going on and the more like depressive or like anger-provoking feelings that could be coming up. Now I'm saying this, you know, all week we have Mars coming into the square with Chiron. Of course, Chiron being in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, so this very Chiron, Mars-oriented energy. Also, though, Mars in the sign of Cancer. Again, this is a sign of the home, the family, the community, the roots, what's happening behind closed doors. There could be an honestly uptick in like domestic abuse, domestic violence happening during this period of time, or, you know, childhood wounding, or, you know, issues with the mother, or issues with the family, wounds from the family coming up that are creating you know, some internal conflict that we are trying to navigate and respond to going through this last week as well. Now, I will say we do have a Sun North Node conjunction that is happening this last week of the month of April. So what is going on? You know, these are divine alignments. This is what is necessary in the next stage of our growth. If we are to find our purpose, if we are to activate our destiny in alignment with the proper, organic, authentic trajectory of growth moving forward, represented by the cosmic blueprint, represented by where the North Node is pulling us at this point in time to rediscover our potential, to rediscover our purpose, and to activate our destiny. So whatever is coming up as a result of this Chiron Mars square energy, and whatever, you know, perhaps threat or attack or, you know, wounding we may be experiencing or feeling like we are up against this last week, there is a major dimension of like fated and divinely aligned growth that is also associated with it. So we, again, need to do our best to sort of surrender the burdens, to, you know, maintain the perspective that despite appearances, things are working for me and not against me. Every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. Everyone and every situation in my experience right now is there for my benefit, whether or not it appears as such in this moment. And it's directly related to my soul's growth and my ability to get in alignment with universe's divine image and divine plan for my life, and this destiny activation that is simultaneously happening now in the midst of all of this. So, you know, this last week, I do feel like there may be probably some repressed emotions. A lot of people are probably kind of like holding this in as well with the Saturn South Node in the water signs. We've got the moon coming into a square with Saturn to start this 4th week as well. Feelings, again, all week probably attacked, wounded, victimized, abused, trauma, financial attacks, financial loss, value-based restrictions and stuff like that could be going on. Like I said, I do think a lot of this could have to do with these financial issues that appear to be kind of pending as I'm making this report, but, you know, feeling personally attacked. But these super fated occurrences, personal conflict, personal struggle, could have to do with money, or just general morale could be a bit low. It's just this raw energy. Whenever we're dealing with the Chiron energy, it's just this more raw, vulnerable energy. People could definitely be a bit defensive and a bit on edge as well. Recession, financial instability, personal, emotional conflict and instability also. Painful actions can also be represented when we're talking about Mars, Chiron, and this square. This is one of the more difficult aspects, Chiron, Mars square. But again, Chiron was the teacher of Mars. Chiron taught all the great heroes. So this is victim to victor. This is a lesson in stepping into becoming our own hero and becoming our own savior, being our own knight in shining armor. Like, that is what these experiences are ultimately trying to teach us and trying to show us that we actually are. This is honestly, no one's coming to save us except ourselves, but we're gonna do it. It's like in that Harry Potter movie, you know what I mean? When he saves himself by being in the future and sending that that spell or whatever to get the Dementor that's like, and he thinks it's somebody else, but it was actually him. Like, that is sort of how this energy is coming together. We are rescuing ourselves through what and who we are discovering we are, through perhaps what this energy is putting us through at this point in time. So hero's journey, like on crack, sort of like totally just expanded and amplified from victim to victor, conflict opening up past wounds, but our vulnerability is also our strength, and this energy pushing us to take a stand, to fight back, to do something about the past, to change our current circumstances as well. This is where that Saturn South Node comes in, taking accountability for the past to make sure that we don't make these same mistakes going forward. So we are released from them karmically. We are releasing the karmic burden of the past and this double rebirth cycle so that we can really move on in the recognition of the truth of this value that we are simultaneously awakening to with the Mercury-Uranus retrograde conjunction that we've got going on as well. Very Chiron-oriented month. Like I said, this is going to bring up the theme of the hero's journey, states of victimhood to self-mastery, this inner alchemization, transmutation all month. Chiron is also very much associated, though, you guys. I mean, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. True value, true worth, assets, wealth, wounding, healing, transmuting, overcoming. Again, like this very raw emotional energy. So just to summarize, you guys, to tie it all back up in this nice little bow of what we've got going on all month is like this karmic reckoning, okay? And simultaneously this karmic release, but with the need to, again, account for maybe past mistakes and release ourselves from a mindset or the patterns of being and behaving that would allow us to continue to perpetuate that. So that's sort of how that's coming through. Nostalgia as well, regrets, like the could have, would have, should have energy, but surrendering control, letting go of the past, transcending out of these experiences through this wisdom gained, through this accountability that we may be taking, and fighting for freedom, fighting for truth, fighting for security, crazy news, crazy revelations, these highs and these lows. It's not all, you know, bad. We've got Jupiter and the Sun coming to conjunction. There is likely to be some type of fortunate, lucky, blessed occurrence throughout the course of this month that also, you know, puts us back on top for a period of time. Massive change though, and these rare moments of time. This Mars Chiron dynamic, this insecurity, you know, financial restrictions, loss, but it is leading, and it's not only leading to, but it's a part of a process of growth that is necessary right now actually to right things and to rectify things. We've got Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, you guys. This is the destruction of the past paradigm. This is the downfall of, you know, empires of the past. And this is the birth of the new era of power by way of the collective and the self-empowered individual as the primary, like, operating force moving forward. So that's what I have to say, you guys, about this month of April. To be completely honest with you, I feel like it's going to be, like I said, just a crazy month. We've got a solar eclipse going on in alignment with the second new moon in Aries that's happening at 30 degrees of the sign of Aries. We've got just this Saturn South Node trine all month long. All of this Chiron energy, Mercury and Uranus together in the sign of Taurus, Venus coming into the square with Saturn, and the North Node activations happening, you know, because we're in eclipse season. These are the, like, fated occurrences that happen throughout the course of the year. Jupiter at the Aries point, that's another one. I should say, and we'll talk more about this, but I did a little bit of, like, backtracking research. The last time that Jupiter was at the Aries point was in 2011, I believe, when we had, and that was when there was, like, all of these, like, very powerful, huge, destructive, deadly tornadoes that happened in the United States. Now, I will say Mars was in a conjunction to Jupiter in Aries at that point in time, so of course that is, like, huge Mars energy, and we don't have that right now with Jupiter at the Aries point, but we do have the Sun in the conjunction to Jupiter. And again, like, the Aries point is this you know, discord energy. So we could see, again, like, this to me, very positive on one hand, very optimistic, uplifting, huge exposure, massive exposures of truth also. Truth will set you free, like, fighting for truth. This is like, you know, any type of fights or wars or, you know, extreme aggression that does break out is likely to be over beliefs, is likely to be over truth, and is likely to be over things having to do with freedom. Also happening in the sign of Aries. So that's what I'm going to say, you guys. It should be a very interesting month. Now, you know, moving into May, we also are likely big financial changes pending, you guys. Big changes pending having to do with, I mean, everything, okay? And we'll leave it there. Big changes pending having to do with everything. So we'll talk about it day by day as we are going through this month. And I'll be here to do that. You should be here too. You don't want to miss an episode because it's all going to be so wild. But let's get a synchronicity card just to give us a clue maybe of what we should focus on throughout the course of this month. And the card that just came out, it says attitude adjustment. So this may be something that we need to keep in mind. Like I was saying, it is really going to benefit us to not hold anger and stew in resent and bitterness and hostility. And like, it is really, I'm telling you guys, this month, it is really going to work against us in some very not good ways if we are like stewing on our anger internally. It's probably going to cause some very destructive or painful circumstances in our external life. So we really do maybe need to focus on sort of adjusting our attitude throughout the course of this month in order to kind of like proceed with as much grace as we can through this energy and therefore experience the more positive octaves that this energy has to provide for us. If you knew the gift of God, you would accept the living water, John 4:10. You are refusing to accept truths of your own psychological capacity to be independent and free from limitation, trouble, pain, and misery. See inspiration, truth, healing, guidance, or whatever else you need for your spiritual growth and renewal. So actually, like, I feel like it's kind of amazing that this card came out. I feel like these are the, like, honestly, some underlying themes that we're probably going to be working through and dealing with throughout the course of this entire month of April based on the energy that is present. And that is what we're really going to be like having to get in alignment with, especially with the Saturn and the South Node energy, accepting the truths of our own psychological capacity, and Chiron in the sign of Aries. You know, where have we experienced wounds that have kept us from realizing our ability to be independent and free from limitation and trouble and pain and misery, right? See inspiration, truth, healing, guidance, or whatever else you need for your spiritual growth or renewal. So, you know, we really want to be actively engaging in healing old wounds, self-care, self-nurturing, self-love. That is going to give us the best outcome and the least insecure and destructive experience moving through this month of April. So you guys, that's what I have to say today about the month of April. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think they would find this type of information relevant and useful as well. Leave me comments, you guys. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your feedback. I'm so grateful for you. I've got a Facebook page, a Facebook group, Instagram, other social media in my description box below if you're interested in any of that. Come back with me next week, you guys. We are going to be kicking off this first week of April. We've got this grand water trine between Saturn and Mars in the South Node that is still going to be very activated, and we are going to be getting right into this Sun heading into the conjunction with Chiron energy. So we will have a lot to talk about. I'll be here. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful day. And until next time, bye.